Now, before starting the video, what I want to show you is that by the end of this video, we will end up creating a interface where, as a user, we will share the input in the Telegram bot, and based on the AI and the logic that we will define, it will give an output. For example, if I want to know what is inventory for SKU2, so you can see the output is 475. Let's try one more question. What is stock out days for SKU2? So stock out days are basically it's basically inventory divided by daily order quantity. You can see the output, which is 15. So this is what we will end up creating at the end of this series. So just be with me and let's watch the next tutorial. Everyone, welcome to the third video in this series where we were creating a project in supply chain inventory management using AI. So just to have a quick recap, this is a flow chart. So we talked about this one, the data part, where we will have data in the Excel sheet, we will convert it into a database, and we will load the database into a SQLite. Okay, so this part has been completed in the previous video. If you haven't seen it, go to the video 2 of this series. In this video, what we will look into it is, as soon as the user gives an input, how to prepare this prompt engineering. Okay, now as I told you, engineering is not a code. It is basically a instruction which is been passed to AI in a plain English. So the better you are at explaining the things to a person or to your colleague or to your juniors, better would be the output. Similar is the situation here, in the sense, better you define the prompt, better you classify the data, better you classify the process that is used in your industry, better would be the output from the AI. Treat prompt engineering as a guide to AI. That's it. So in this video, we will cover the only one thing, which is a prompt engineering. Okay, so let's start. Let's go to Visual Studio. Okay, this is a Visual Studio. We have files as per the previous class. Okay, file, we'll name it as prompt builder.py. Again, py is an extension for the Python code. So whatever it, so wherever you find a file which has an extension of .py, it's basically a Python file. Okay, so it's again a Python file, but again, but let me tell you here, everything would be plain English. Okay, so we will define a function first. Okay, and then the instruction has to be there in English. So how we are going to start is, we will define a function. Okay, naming it function is build prompt. I'll just explain you. Okay, I'm just writing the function. Okay, okay, so this is a function and this is closing. Okay, so this is the only function that you're supposed to enter. Okay, now if you have if you have ever worked in, say, production engineering or line haul, or any work that you have done with the machines, wherever you have seen the machines giving output, see, in machines we have a simple input, it processes it and gives an output. It's the same thing here, that we are defining a function known as build prompt, where the input will come as a user input. Right now we have not defined that how the user input will move into this data or this file. Okay, it is all fine, but as soon as the user gives an input, the input will come. Okay, and that input will be in the form of strings. Now strings could be anything, say my project name is AI, so this is a string. My is a string, so this is a string in the sense it's a collection of letters. Okay, and the output of this function will always be also a string. Now you understand this, that once we have an input as a string and we have an output as a string, now if you look into this particular thing, okay, the user is given an input which is going to the prompt engineering, and the prompt engineering is giving the final output to the AI. Okay, so it's the same thing, we have an user input which obviously would be a string. The user input will go into prompt engineering, and the prompt engineering will give an output which is also a string that we have already defined, and that will go into the AI. Okay, so here we have to define an string. Sorry, here we have to define the prompt or the instructions. Okay, so what is the first instruction that you want to give? Okay, so just look at the data. This is our data. Okay, so we will explain the AI that what the data is all about, the very first thing. Okay, so I am writing that the data is stored SQLite database, okay, with one table. We know the name of the table, and it is a report. The data is about a grocery shop with different SKUs. Okay, just okay, just buy for different SKUs. Okay, with other details. So just the very first thing that we will do here is to define the data and the details around the data. So we are saying that we have a one table one. See, it is of not much use to us. Okay, just naming it report. And what is a report? That we've already shown to you that the data in Excel sheet is stored in the database in the form of report. So the name of the table is a report. Okay. Now below are the column labels in the report with meaning. Say for example, if you are working in grocery store, you are trying to define with respect to grocery. If say it's a paint industry, okay, so you will have some different syntax code and so on. Now there is certain format which has to be stick to it. So for example, when you are defining any label, what you are supposed to do is to create a hyphen and give a brackets. Okay, that this one, that arrow is left to the number one button. Okay, so just press this and close this. Now what basically is this? It's a unique ID for each of the items, sorry, that is being sold in the store. Okay, and now if you actually want to explain a little better, then you can say for example SKU1 is the unit. Now there could be confusion with the prompt engineering, in the sense it can treat SKU and SKU1 as two different entities. So we will define it as SKU1 to be always treated or read together. Okay, it's just an instruction. Then the second is inventory. You want to define whatever you want to, you can do that. For example, I'm saying there's a current stock available or quantity available in the shop. We will define say daily order quantity. Okay, so we'll keep on defining everything. Of the SKU. So this is how we define it. Okay, expiry date. However, we won't be using any information regarding expiry date in this series, but still this is the expiry date beyond which the SKU is of no use. Okay, then we have unit price. So this is one thing that we have defined what the table is all about. Okay, now we'll use some of the instructions. So for example, use only valid SQL syntax. Okay, so this is one information that we are giving to them. So this is close. Now we can add some more instructions, just sort of note mark. So we already defined it, but so for example, always treat values in the SKU columns exact string matches. Do not split them or apply partial matching. See, all these sort of things, when you will get used to it, na, when you will keep on creating projects, you will understand that why I'm writing all these things. Now you can also explain that, say someone is asking for a particular question. Okay, so for example, if someone says that, uh, say for example, if the user asks for uh, inventory, okay, then see how we are going to define it in inventory. Then what you should return is this one: select inventory from report. Okay, you got the point. So for example, someone is asking for what is the inventory, then select that column B from report is what we are asking, and so on. So I'll add a lot of inventories here. Okay, I'll add a lot of questions here, not inventory but a lot of questions here. Okay, and we'll share this entire thing with you. Just make sure that at the end of this query, so for example, you kept on defining whatever is possible. Now you need to tell the function or the prompt that when you will get a user input which is a string and the output is also a string. Okay, go through this entire thing first. This is like an index. Go through the entire index. Now write the correct SQLite query for question, because see, user will ask you something. I'm saying that whatever the user is going to ask me, that is a question. So I'm saying that when as soon as the user gives an input which is a string, okay, and the output is also a string, go through this entire thing. This is your guide. Now once you do that, write a correct SQLite query for the user input. Okay, and return only the valid SQLite query. Okay, do not prefix. These are all sort of corrective actions that I am putting into it, because when I kept on creating it, there was a lot of issues. So I'm just writing everything here. In the sense, you don't have to worry about anything. Okay, so this is done. The prompt engineering is done. Okay, so just to give you a little sense that what we are going to create was, as soon as the user gives an input, okay, it will move to prompt engineering, and the prompt engineering will pass that output to the AI. So in this lecture we completed this one. So we created a file known as prompt underscore builder.py, which exactly is a prompt engineering part. We defined a function in which the user will give an output, sorry, input which is a string, and the function will give an output which is also a string. Now before giving an output, it will go through this entire thing. Okay, and at the end it will write the correct SQL query, the SQL query for the user input which is also a question. Okay, now the output of this will go to AI, which we will discuss in the next video. So if you like this video, hit like, hit comment, subscribe it, and share with your colleagues and friends.